Everything that was ever invented, created, painted, or made began in a moment. I want to live my life in such a way that I'm prepared to act on that moment when it comes.
You need to completely unplug and reset.
What contributed to a life that was worth living?
One is the extraordinary evidence of human creativity.
And what TV demonstrated is that if you spend enough money, you could make money interrupting people with ads they didn't want to get.
Someone at some point came up with this very bad idea that an ordinary individual couldn't make a difference in the world.
If you spend enough money, you could repeat a message enough times that you could make enough money to buy more ads, which would allow you to make more stuff and buy more ads.
My mission is to get paid to make art.
It's put us in a place where we have no idea what's going to happen in terms of the future. No idea.
We end up with all those mediocre products that we think are great.
Giving everyone around you immediate access to you is inviting interruption and inviting minutia to completely invade your life.
And again, a story about a small group of individuals who did make change in the world.
Unfortunately, a lot of people's experience is in apathy. The largest single contributor to that experience is watching television.
It stopped. That what the smartest and richest people in the world have done is turn off their televisions.
It struck me that if I could write stories that were about this world as being small and interconnected,
Because there is an epidemic, and I do mean epidemic in this country, of information abuse.
I could get people interested in the issues that affected us all and maybe engage them to make a difference.
If you think of it, children starting school this year will be retiring in 2065.
I didn't think that was necessarily the best way to make a living, so I decided to go on a path to become financially independent so I could write these stories as quickly as I could.
Nobody has a clue what the world will look like in 5 years' time, and yet we're meant to be educating them for it.
And information addiction.
Where in everyday life do we feel really happy?
Checking email 200 times per day.
I began to look at
Having a BlackBerry to your head or in your hand while you're at dinner
creative people, first artists, then scientists and so forth.
or on the subway or in your car or with your friends is the path to becoming more productive and more successful.
You mean it isn't?
It isn't.
Now, I don't mean to say that being wrong is the same thing as being creative. What we do know is, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you will never come up with anything original.
You have to utilize who you are in your work. Nobody else can do that. Nobody else can pull from your background, from your parents, your upbringing, your whole life experience.
What made them
If you allow that to happen, it's really the only way you can do some unique work, and you're going to enjoy the work a lot more as well.
essentially spending their life doing things for which many of them didn't expect either fame or fortune,
If you're not prepared to be wrong.
which made their life meaningful.
And by the time they get to be adults, most kids have lost that capacity. They have become frightened of being wrong. And we run our companies this, by the way. We stigmatize mistakes.
Napoleon Hill said that your big opportunity may be right where you are now.
These people are the curious. Curious is the key word. It has nothing to do with income, nothing to do with education. It has to do with a desire to understand, a desire to try, a desire to push whatever envelope you're interested in.
The result is that we are educating people out of their creative capacities.
They're the ones who talk to the masses in the middle who are stuck. The masses in the middle have brainwashed themselves into thinking it's safe to do nothing.
Einstein said that everything that is really great and inspiring is created by the individual who can labor freely.
7, 10, 15 years of school, you are required to not be curious.
Henry Ford said that before everything else, getting ready is the secret to success.
Our education system is predicated on the idea of academic ability. And there's a reason. The whole system was invented around the world. There were no public systems of education really before the 19th century.
Over and over and over again, the curious are punished.
They all came into being to meet the needs of industrialism.
And when I was teaching, I used to always ask the students, what's the definition of a good job?
It's easy to underestimate how difficult it is for someone to become curious.
Because if you could afford to, if money wasn't an issue, would you be doing that same work?
And they start realizing that the safest thing they can do feels risky, and the riskiest thing they can do is play it safe.
So the hierarchy is rooted on two ideas. Number one, that the most useful subjects for work are at the top. So you were probably steered benignly away from things at school when you were a kid, things you liked, on the grounds you would never get a job doing that.
And invest. If you see good people doing good things, invest in them, invest in their organizations.
I worked from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. I checked Outlook, hitting send receive 100 to 200 times per day, like a rat with a cocaine pellet dispenser.
Is that right? Don't do music, you're not going to be a musician. Don't do art, you won't be an artist. Benign advice, now profoundly mistaken.
Author and philosopher Ayn Rand said that business can have the purposeful selectiveness of art, and art can have the stern discipline of business.
Academic ability, which has really come to dominate our view of intelligence because the universities designed the system in their image.
You see that these people define success as something that helps others and at the same time makes you feel happy.
Slept under my cubicle, sent emails on Thanksgiving to prospects. It was a depressing scene, and it's a very, unfortunately, common scene. And I think everyone is at a point of overwhelm.
Every education system on earth has the same hierarchy of subjects. Everyone, doesn't matter where you go. You think it would be otherwise, but it isn't. At the top are mathematics and languages, then the humanities, and the bottom are the arts, everywhere on earth.
And our mission is to produce entertainment that creates and inspires social change.
Leonardo da Vinci encouraged me to never waste my hours and to look for inspiration in everything. Brandon Boyd from the band Incubus encouraged me to just do what makes me feel happy, and is living proof that a creative person can be successful.
You need to take a step back, forget about what people expect you to do, forget about what's popular, and really look at what works and what is consuming your time.
No idea is too strange. In fact, if an idea is not strange at first, then there is no hope for it.
I thought about the films that inspired me, films like Gandhi and Schindler's List, and I wondered who was doing these kind of films today.
Obstacles are easily managed once you realize that the nature of progress is 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Be aware of their mission to society and work to their heart's content. I couldn't improve on this.
26% of people in the American workforce are on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Is by seeing our creative capacities for the richness they are.
The system is not working. So it's not a question of if I should do this, it's a question of when. It is the only real alternative.
As a male living in North America, I'm in the top 2% of wealth.
He wasn't so much afraid that he might die, but that he hadn't done the things that he wanted to with his life.
Possibilities in North America are endless, and I cannot take my position on this planet for granted. I'm truly challenged that to whom much has been given, much will be required. Every so often I find some art or music or run into a person that makes me feel like I'm part of this invisible, global network of artists, activists, students, educators, and entrepreneurs that are all working together to impact the world. I'm so excited to be a part of this.
What he felt was the best thing I could do, or anyone could do, to make a difference in the long-term issues.
Life is pretty simple. You do some stuff, most fails, some works. You do more of what works. If it works big, others quickly copy it. Then you do something else. The trick is to do something else.
And John said, bet on good people doing good things.
Picasso once said this. He said that all children are born artists.
Bet on good people doing good things.
Despite a lot of effort by a lot of people to make me non-curious, I just resisted.
The problem is to remain an artist as we grow up. I believe this passionately, that we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. Or rather, we get educated out of it.
Everything that was ever invented, created, painted, or made began in a moment. I want to live my life in such a way that I'm prepared to act on that moment when it comes.